Balance by Anne Butler.
I was born into a family that, for generations, had members that are part of the balance. The balance has been called by many different names since its inception centuries ago. How it came to be is a tortured tale which I will leave for another time. That depends, though, on whether or not I manage to do what I need to do. More important than how our society came by its name is why we exist. The reason we exist is to safeguard certain artifacts, maintain them, make sure that they stay where they are meant to be. Assemblies, forums, covens, associations which existed many centuries before us were given knowledge which we swore to keep within our own fold. However, because of what has happened, I am forced to share with you what I know, to warn you that something is coming. The balance exists in several regions around the world, possibly by different names, but the purpose is the same regardless. In West Africa, Northern Europe, Latin America and other regions, the balance watches over certain artifacts. These special artifacts are held securely in museums and galleries wherever there is a balance, and we must keep them safe. These pieces are unique and powerful. They used to be called amulets. We don't use that term anymore as it seems to draw unwanted attention. So, to deter public displays from disapproving religious orders or unhealthy fascination from obsessive and superstitious people, the pieces in question are just called artifacts. The balance knows which are the unique ones. In any region which holds unique ones, there are rules. They must be kept secure, but in the light. Hence, they must remain on display. Once they have been in the same space together, they cannot be separated. They must not be sold. They can only be given away. 3 years ago, it's actually been 3 years and 4 months, something happened in Devon, England, the location of a set of unique artifacts. Rules were not properly adhered to, and one of the artifacts has been lost. It was a small 200-year-old coin. The museum where it and the others had been stored went through a refurbishment. All the museum's items were moved to a temporary site, and when the refurbishment was completed and the artifacts were moved back, the coin could not be found. This has put Northern Europe out of balance. If balance isn't restored, the imbalance will spread. Slowly, but it will spread. The police were asked to investigate. One of the people who had helped with the packing and removal back to the original site could not be found. The specialist removal company that had hired him for just that job had not done even a simple check. Had they done so, they would have found that his contact details were fake. His name was probably fake too, as we can find no trace of him. The police advised us to make a claim against our insurance, as there was practically no chance of getting the coin back. Among the balance, we had already reached out to our network of thief trackers. We always have them on standby because artifacts do often go missing, usually only for a few days. This time was different. The thief trackers could not find this man. It was as though he had fallen off the face of the earth. We alerted our compatriots across all the regions that they needed to be extra vigilant while we worked to rebalance Northern Europe. A year went by, and then another, with no sign of the thief or the artifact. We found it strange that it hadn't turned up for sale in any of the usual places. But we didn't become really worried until 2 years drifted into 3. Signs were starting to appear that the world was drifting. National Geographic reported the sighting of Sicilian wolves, animals thought to have been extinct for more than 50 years. A pack was photographed complete with pups. That should not be. This last winter, on Christmas Day in London, the temperature was 25 degrees. People were sunbathing in Hyde Park on Christmas Day in London. This was more than just climate change. We were drifting out of kilter. But then we got some good news. Somehow the man was traced. The thief. He was traced to a house in Somerset. 2 of us went to the address, but we found people living there that had nothing to do with this man, and they had been living there for 2 years. And then we discovered why we hadn't been able to find him. The thief had died within days of stealing the coin. Something really mundane. He had fallen and bumped his head and died the following day. We tracked down his next of kin, a brother. We told him why we were there, told him what we were looking for. He shrugged and apologised. When he had picked up his brother's personal effects from the hospital, there had been some coins among them, one of them an unusual piece. It looked like something I could make into a piece of jewellery, he said. A bit retro, you know, like those sovereign rings from the 1980s. We looked at each other, hardly daring to hope. We asked him whether he still had it. He shook his head. He had thought better of the ring idea and had sold the coin to a jeweller's on the high street. My heart was leaping in my chest when we walked in the door of the jeweller's. She remembered the coin because it was so unusual. But it didn't weigh very much, she said, so not worth very much. So I just threw it in with a lot of scrap, which got melted down and reformed, she said. The pieces that were created were sold on. The last piece was sold more than a year ago. That's where our trail ended. Balance cannot be restored unless you know of some way. We don't have much time left. I estimate maybe another 5 years, give or take, depending on where you are. So listen to me and listen carefully. The balance can no longer be maintained. The tipping point is imminent. We will soon start to see other signs that will make a hot London Christmas seem like nothing. Don't waste time. If you have unfinished business, sort it out. Do what you need to do and do it now. The balance will continue to work as we always have, and we will hold things off for as long as we can. But soon it will be out of our hands. Good luck.
You have just listened to Balance. The story was written and narrated by Anne Butler. If you enjoyed listening, please hit the like button. Subscribe to receive notification of new episodes. Please note that no portion of this production can be rebroadcast or adapted without written permission from a member of the Book Griffin channel.